Hi debaters! You and your partner will be attending several debate tournaments this season, but I'm guessing you have a lot of questions about what happens at a tournament. So sit back and relax and enjoy the ride. Here's your guide to how debate tournaments work. Before we begin, you should know that tournaments work differently in different parts of the country. So make sure you know in advance which part of this video applies to you and which are a little bit different for the tournaments you'll actually attend. I think the vast majority of this video will apply to you, but your coach will likely have some small adjustments. Now, let's get started. The day of your first tournament has finally arrived. Are you nervous? You bet. And that's okay. Are you ready? You may not feel like it, but believe me, you're ready. When you arrive at the tournament, your coach will register your school, sort out some paperwork, and eventually give you a schedule for round one. The schedule lists all the teams competing in the tournament, their assigned room, and their assigned side, affirmative or negative. Here's a sample schedule for the varsity division. Schedules are also usually posted throughout the tournament about 10 to 20 minutes before each round starts. Each schedule has 3 columns: the room number, the affirmative team, and the negative team. Your coach will give you a code before the tournament starts. A code almost always has a number to represent your school and a letter to represent the different teams competing under the school code. Let's say for this example that your school is School 26 and you and your partner are Code A. As you can see from this example, Code 26A is negative in room 1204 with Gene Harris as the judge. Don't forget to check the schedule and see what time the round is supposed to begin. Once you know your assigned side and room, you need to make your way to the room quickly. Be there at least 5 minutes before the round is scheduled to start so that you can be unpacked, seated, and ready to debate when the round is scheduled to begin. If you are late to your round, you may be disqualified. More importantly, judges appreciate and admire teams that arrive early, set up professionally, and are ready to begin on time. Greet the judge in a professional manner. Some judges prefer handshakes, many do not. Use your best judgment. You and your partner will also need to sign the ballot. Here's the ballot we use at our tournament, and you can see that there are spaces for all 4 debaters to sign. Now here's a pro tip. Sign your name so that the judge can read it. He or she will often want to refer to you by name when making comments, and if the judge can't read your name, it makes you look sloppy. Now that the ballot is signed, the round is ready to begin. Now, let's skip ahead to the end of the round. Remember that the judge isn't going to tell you his or her decision. The judge writes the decision on the ballot and gives the ballot to a tournament official. But let's use this opportunity to talk about wins and losses. Remember the debate ballot? Here it is again. Let's take a closer look. You'll see that the judge needs to write in the side and code of the team that won. The judge will also need to assign speaker points. Speaker points are a ranking of the 4 debaters from best to worst. So the judge will give the best debater the 1, the second best debater the 2, the third best debater the 3, and the fourth best debater the 4. Now notice I didn't say the worst debater, I said the 4th best debater. So that means you can still go home and say that you are one of the best debaters in the round. And don't worry about getting the 4. I guarantee you'll get at least 1 4 this season. Now, there's a bit of math needed for this next section, but math is a good thing, so here we go. The winning team in the debate round needs to have as many or fewer speaker points as the losing team. Let's say, for example, that the affirmative team won this debate. That would mean that the affirmative team could have any combination of 5 speaker points, 4 speaker points, or 3 speaker points. The losing team must have a combination of 5 speaker points, 6 speaker points, or 7 speaker points. Remember that the winning team must have equal to or fewer speaker points than the losing team. Okay, so the judge has made a decision, but guess what? You usually don't get to see the result. Now, in varsity debate, decisions are sometimes disclosed at the end of the round, but that's very rare for novice debate rounds. The decision gets written on the ballot and delivered by the judge to the tab room. The tab room takes the ballots and calculates all the results for all the debates so that the tournament can determine the top teams at the end of the tournament. So instead of waiting for the judge to give you verbal feedback, you'll just politely thank the judge, pack up, and leave the room. Now remember, never ever start packing up before the end of the last speech. Doing so makes it look like you've given up or that you don't care what the opposing team has to say. Instead, look interested and engaged until the very last speech is done and hold that judge accountable for everything the other team says. Okay, so now the round is over and you've packed up. Check your watch. When is the next round scheduled to begin? You'll usually have about 10 to 15 minutes to hit the restroom, refill your water bottle, and bust out a granola bar. Sometimes you'll have only a few minutes, and other times you'll have a long time between rounds. Now let's skip ahead to the end of the 5 preliminary rounds. At this point, you've had 5 debate rounds, and depending on the structure of the tournament, it might be time to head to the awards ceremony, or it might be time to see if you made it to the elimination rounds. Here's the difference. Tournaments that occur only on Saturdays only have 5 preliminary rounds. The top 8 teams are determined by the number of rounds won, followed by your total number of speaker points. So a perfect record is, can you guess? How many preliminary rounds are there? 5. So a perfect record is 5 and 0. 5 rounds won and 0 rounds lost. A perfect record for speaker points is, can you guess? Here's a hint. The best speaker points you can get is 3. You got the 1 and your partner got the 2 for a total of 3. So an absolute perfect record for the tournament is 5 and 0 with 15 speaker points. The next best record is 5 and 0 with 16 speaker points, and so on and so forth until you get to 0 and 5 and 35 speaker points. But what about ties? Well, when 2 teams have the same record, let's say 4-1 and 22, the tournament will look at your opposition record. That's the total number of wins won by the teams you hit throughout the preliminary rounds. So if your first round opponent ended up with 3 wins, second round finished with 4 wins, third round opponent ended with 1 win, fourth round opponent ended with 3 wins, and your fifth round opponent ended with 4 wins, your opposition record is 15 and 10. Pretty good. But how does it compare to that team that is also 4-1 with 22 speaker points? Well, hopefully they hit weaker teams than you did, and it looks like they did. Congratulations, the tie is broken in your favor. So the top 8 teams are finally selected. If it's a tournament that only occurs on a Saturday, you'll head to the awards assembly and hopefully be announced as one of the top 8 teams. During the assembly, there are a few key rules that coaches generally insist upon. First, we always give our full attention to the front of the room. We are never talking, whispering, laughing, or checking our phones while awards are being announced. Can you imagine being on stage, earning a medal for your hard work, and you look out in the crowd and nobody is paying attention? You don't want to see that. You want to see everyone focused on you, applauding you for your victory. So make sure that even if you didn't do so well that day, everyone earning an award gets your full support and attention. Second, the first place team in each division traditionally receives a standing ovation from the entire audience. Third, the first place school usually receives a standing ovation for winning the overall tournament trophy. That's an award called sweepstakes that's given to the school with the best combined record of its top 4 teams. Could be 6 teams, could be 2 teams. But what about tournaments that occur on Friday and Saturday? Well, these tournaments have elimination rounds. Generally speaking, tournaments that occur on Friday and Saturday have 2 or 3 preliminary rounds on Friday and 2 or 3 preliminary rounds on Saturday. Most tournaments have 5 prelim rounds, but some have 6. Additionally, some tournaments have rounds on Friday for more experienced divisions like varsity and open, while novice teams have all their rounds on Saturday. Now, if this is the case, there are probably elim rounds for the experienced divisions, but not for your division since it's already getting late in the day. Here's how elimination rounds work. If the tournament has octafinals, then the top 16 teams advance. If the tournament has quarterfinals, then the top 8 teams advance. If the tournament has semifinals, then only the top 4 teams advance. Now, most tournaments start at quarterfinals. Regardless, the top-seeded team in the tournament usually hits the lowest-seeded team, advancing to elim rounds, followed by the second highest seed hitting the second lowest seed, and so on. Now you can see at this point, the bracket begins to look a little bit like March Madness, and that's pretty much how it works. As each team wins, they advance. As each team loses, they are dropped from the bracket and sometimes given a medal. The good news is that the decisions are almost always made in the room after an elimination round, so there's very little waiting. Now, here's a great chance for us to talk about scouting. Scouting is an important strategy that starts when your school has a team in elimination rounds. Scouting allows us to watch a round with a potential future opposing team. We can see their debate style, listen to their arguments, and maybe even hear their affirmative case. While the team from your school is debating in one room, all the other members of your debate team are scattered in all the other elimination round rooms to take notes and report back. We want more kids in the rooms closest to us in the bracket and fewer kids in rooms farther away. Once we know which teams advance, any debaters from your school who watch that particular team debate can give your team some key information, assuming your team advances. So that's how tournaments work. Here are some key terms to review. Make sure you know what each of these means and rewind the video as needed until you're sure you have it down. The check-in process, round scheduling, greeting the judge, signing the ballot, determining the winning team, opposition record, awards ceremony expectations, schedule for Friday and Saturday versus Saturday-only tournaments, sweepstakes, elimination rounds, and scouting. That's it. Now you're ready to attend your first debate tournament. Good luck, and look to the advanced debaters for help and assistance on tournament day. They are remarkable and experienced, and they can help. Okay, that's all for now. Good luck, debaters.